There have been 204 games so far in this season's Europa League. This is number 205, the big one. It's the final between Chelsea and Arsenal. Chelsea, who have won 4 of their 5 major European finals in the past. They have won this competition and the Champions League before. Will that big game experience count in Chelsea's favour tonight? They do have N'Golo Kante in the starting 11. He trained on his own yesterday here at the stadium, away from the main group of Chelsea players. The French World Cup winner is in the team tonight. Tonight's officials from Italy, Gianluca Rocchi and his team. And for the first time ever in the Europa League, VAR is being used in this final tonight. Arsenal, who've lost their last 3 appearances in a major European final. Last time they were victorious in one of these was the 1994 Cup Winners' Cup winner George Graham. As we welcome listeners tuned our way on BBC Radio London, joining the simulcast with 5 Live. We are live in Azerbaijan tonight, in Baku, one of the most eastern tips of Europe, the gateway between Europe and Asia. We are further east than Baghdad, and the enormous logistical operation to remove the equipment from the opening ceremony taking place down on the pitch. The Chelsea players move into a huddle for the team photo. Already the Arsenal players have dispersed around to begin their warm-up, and Laurent Koscielny is standing alongside the referee and waiting for his counterpart Azpilicueta. The 2 captains now coming together and exchanging the pendants on the halfway line. Petr Cech widely expected to take up a sporting director goal at Chelsea next season. Tonight he starts against them in what will be the man for the Czech Republic's final professional game as a player. It's the 4th time these sides have met in a final. Arsenal beat Chelsea in the FA Cup final in 2002 and in 2017. Chelsea beat Arsenal in the 2007 League Cup final. The final spectators making their way towards the seats. It will not be a full house in Baku. It's a big stadium, but still a large crowd somewhere in the region of 60,000 or so. It's blue against red. It's Chelsea against Arsenal. And Alan Pardew, we are almost ready to get underway.
It just seems so surreal. Here we are in the Europa League final. Arsenal beat Chelsea, and a stadium that's not full. And I look back on the history of this game. So many classic encounters, and yet we have only one Englishman starting. So it kind of feels kind of strange, but so important for both clubs tonight. For Sarri, the manager, and for Arsenal to get that Champions League spot. Massive game, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang stands inside the centre circle. He'll be the man to get this Europa League final started. Unlike Chelsea, Arsenal have already released plans to hold a trophy parade in Islington tomorrow if they are the team who triumphs. Chelsea players had a little giggle of that in the press conference yesterday. They'll be setting out to ensure it doesn't happen. N'Golo Kante gets a touch of the ball for the first time, 10 yards inside the Arsenal half. Chelsea play it back to David Luiz, who was involved in that scuffle between teammates on the pitch here last night. Well publicised moment which led to Maurizio Sarri storming off the pitch. Will there be a reaction from Chelsea tonight as it's played infield by Azpilicueta, and Chelsea get it out to the left-hand side, and Emerson will give you a reminder of the full teams when we get a break in play. But Kovacic back into his own half. It's all Chelsea. Arsenal haven't had a touch so far. David Luiz pings a long-range ball looking for Pedro, and a huge roar from the Arsenal fans as Petr Cech comes out, and it was a comfortable save, but they just love that he's had a positive first touch.
Yeah, I think that's what Peter would have liked, a nice floaty ball to come out and collect. But it's interesting already, the 2 Chelsea fullbacks are going to get a lot of space tonight, and I can notice they was right out on the touchline trying to stretch this Arsenal team. So an interesting tactical point at the start.
Cech plays it out to Monreal just outside the Arsenal penalty area. There was a heavy touch there, I think by Granit Xhaka, but he recovered to clear it long into the Chelsea half. Chelsea gained possession with the Dane, Andreas Christensen, who helps it back to keeper Rita Balaga, the Spaniard, who's had, Quite a high-profile season, particularly those scenes the last time Chelsea played in a final, the League Cup final, when he refused to be substituted. Chelsea lost to Manchester City on spot kicks in the end. We could have penalties tonight in Baku, one way or the other. We get a winner tonight as a miscue in defence by Socrates, but Hazard isn't able to pounce on it. But Xhaka had a miscue, Socrates had a miscue. Arsenal's defence, which is always a worry for them, it hasn't had a completely 100% solid start here so far. Early stages, 2 minutes played in Baku, Chelsea 0, Arsenal 0.
Yeah, I think Chelsea, just starting to manoeuvre the ball. It was interesting to see Ozil around Jorginho. Jorginho still managed to get his pass off. It just needs a little, that kind of lazy style that Ozil has defensively. He's going to need to be on his game today for sure.
Lovely clearance from Kepa Arrizabalaga. But Kovacic unable to keep it in play. And Arsenal will win possession here for the first time really in the Chelsea half. Played infield. Xhaka along to Monreal. Bogged down in the midfield, though it's taken time to spread it out to Kolasinac on the far side. Azpilicueta comes close to keep tabs on him, and Arsenal forced back again to the halfway line. And Laurent Koscielny, who was injured in the semi-final of the Europa League last season, ended up missing the World Cup as a result, which of course his nation France went on to win. This time round he's got further than the Europa League semis. Here he is captaining his side in the final itself. It'll drag back for the Frenchman. Low ball into the midfield to Lucas Torreira, just short of the halfway line. Right hand side as Arsenal come forward. Heavy touch by Maitland-Niles. Hazard is in to try and pounce on it, and then Maitland-Niles fouls Eden Hazard. Free kick to Chelsea just inside the Arsenal half. Alan Pardew.
Yeah, just a few too many errors from Arsenal's point of view in possession. But the game's settling down. Both obviously two different systems. So one just trying to dictate to the other. Chelsea just got the lion's share at the moment. And again, a mistake there, and now Arsenal have possession again. Just trying to settle down the game.
We see Unai Emery stride out to the edge of the technical area. Mr. Europa League. In many respects, he has won this competition more than any other manager. 2014, 2015, 2016. With Sevilla's Monreal clears it away for Arsenal. Up over the halfway line, stretching Christensen manages to keep it in play. And now N'Golo Kante with a touch. And again, just like the warm-up, you feel N'Golo Kante isn't exerting himself here. The bare minimum there is he kept it moving in the midfield, and Chelsea get it to their danger man. Eden Hazard, midway inside the Arsenal half, sets off with a mazy dribble, turns back at himself short of the penalty area. Support from Kovacic, and now back to the centre circle once again, and Chelsea will start from scratch. Christensen, little dummy by Hazard, but nobody's behind him to take it, and Maitland-Niles will help it back to Petr Cech. So a reminder of the teams. Kepa Arrizabalaga, the goalkeeper for Chelsea. They are officially the home team in terms of UEFA designation, despite being 2,500 miles away from home. Azpilicueta, Christensen, Luiz and Emerson the back four. Kante, Jorginho and Kovacic in the midfield. Pedro, Giroud and Hazard, the three up front. For Arsenal, Petr Cech is the goalkeeper. Three central defenders for them. Socrates, Koscielny and Monreal. Maitland-Niles and Kolasinac are the wing-backs. Torreira and Xhaka in the middle of the park. Mesut Ozil, who's hardly had a touch. If he has had a touch so far, he's the number 10 position behind Lacazette and Aubameyang. Much made, Alan, of the potent nature of Arsenal's front three, but they've got to get the ball first. We've played 6 minutes. Those three have hardly had a touch.
Yeah, your two central midfield players and your centre-backs need to be much better in possession than they've been. They'll give the ball away and turn it over to Chelsea. And they're starting to just get a little bit of a feel for it, Chelsea, I think. Hazard has been on the ball, as you'd expect, in that little pocket.
Foul committed by David Luiz on Lacazette, 10 yards inside the Chelsea half. For the first time, Arsenal have a free kick inside their opponent's half. That was trademark David Luiz there. I mean, no attempt really to play the ball. Happily conceding the free kick just to let Lacazette know he's there.
Yeah, and Aubameyang had a feel from Christensen as well, just making them out the centre-backs as you'd expect.
Mesut Ozil's only had one touch of the ball so far. He's about to have his second to take the free kick, left-footed high towards the far side of the penalty area. Kolasinac was trying to creep in, good defending though. Olivier Giroud against his old team, backpedals. He was trying to put it out for a throw. I think has he put it out for a corner or a throw-in? I thought the referee was indicating to the corner flag. It is a throw-in right down in that location for Arsenal. So their first proper attack of the game. Terrible throw. Kolasinac straight to Jorginho, and that's just giving away possession. Kante's beaten to it by Torreira. Lacazette gets a touch. Xhaka does well to keep it moving. And Arsenal have a crossing position left-hand side. Kolasinac's attempted cross, though, cut out by Azpilicueta. Chelsea clear it away for a throw. Still 0-0 on 5 Live and BBC Radio London.
Yeah, I mean, Kante looks like he's fine to me. I mean, I've watched him just that first sort of 5-6 minutes there, and he's moving well, he looks fine, so I don't think there's much to worry about there. I think in that period you would have seen something, so that would be great news for the manager, great news for Chelsea.
This all-English Europa League final, Kolasinac turns and rolls it back to Petr Cech, for a long time ranked as the best goalkeeper in the world tonight, playing as a professional for the final time. Arsenal come down the left. Lacazette controls, but immediately Jorginho is in to win it off him. That's neat and tidy from Jorginho. Chelsea get it back. David Luiz on the edge of the D of the penalty area that Chelsea defend, and he just scoops it out to Emerson, the left back, who's put under pressure by Maitland-Niles, and Chelsea retreat to their goalkeeper Kepa. And both teams still just feeling each other out here as Chelsea try to play their way out of defence. Azpilicueta loops it forward. N'Golo Kante controls on his upper thigh, shifts it on to Jorginho, up towards Olivier Giroud. Not a good enough ball. Cut out by Koscielny. Arsenal find a bit of space now for Maitland-Niles down the right-hand side. Aubameyang gets involved. Back to Maitland-Niles. Crossing position to the byline. Whipped in with power. Kepa fluffs it. Follow-up shot by Aubameyang is left and wide. It's the first real chance of the game. It's taken 8 minutes, and Aubameyang didn't catch it as cleanly as he would have wished.
No, and Maitland-Niles was, he courage to join in there. Leave Hazard, which is nice to see. He has that freedom to do that. Got down the right-hand side. Good cross across the near post. And Kepa made a bit of a hash of that. He looked nervous. He punched it out into the middle, and then the shot from the striker just wide. Good chance for Arsenal.
It was not a floated cross from Maitland-Niles. It was drilled in, and Kepa struggled to deal with it. And on another day, Aubameyang might have done better with Kepa out of position somewhat. The goal a little bit at his mercy. There's an awkward hide, came spinning at him, but a player of the quality of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, he might well have expected to hit the target there. Right, free kick for Arsenal inside their own half. Taken by Koscielny. Short to the Uruguayan Lucas Torreira, coming to the end of his first season as an Arsenal player. Maitland-Niles finds himself immediately tackled by Emerson as the ball comes his way. And that goes out for a throw into Arsenal right in front of Maurizio Sarri, who we noted as he arrived was wearing a suit. Very smart Italians. I don't think I've ever seen Maurizio Sarri wear a suit. He looked great, but the game is underway and he's back in his regular attire, and he's got the floppy top and the tight tracky bottoms of the trainers, and he's down there, arms folded across his chest, and observing the opening stages of this Europa League final here in Baku in Azerbaijan, where you can smell the petrol fumes in the air. David Luiz floats it forward, right-footed towards Olivier Giroud. Gets it at the second attempt, helped by Eden Hazard. Gives it back to the Belgian. Lovely shift of weight from his left to his right there to create a bit of space by Hazard. And now Pedro's involved. 15 yards outside the Arsenal penalty area. Hazard's hungry here. He runs into possession and receives it again. Twists one way, then the other. Arsenal defenders are fake to launch in. Now they do. Hazard goes down edge of the penalty area. Nothing doing with the referee, who doesn't even give it a second look. He was challenged outside the box. He fell into the penalty area, Eden Hazard. The referee was well located. He said play on, and Arsenal looked to clear it away here down the right-hand side. Alan Pardew, what do you make of that?
Well, that was brilliant from Hazard. He got it on this left-hand side, done a little bit, got it back into midfield, and then went right across the other side of the pitch. Played a brilliant 1-2, and then it was so difficult to see from here whether he was actually caught or he took a dive. Just seeing the replay now, looked to me like a foul. So a little bit unlucky there, Hazard. He was a great bit of play though. The only sort of play Hazard can do.
Yeah, you can see in that moment that he is up for this game. He had an energy and enthusiasm. He was involved 3 different times at 3 different locations. And Arsenal might well have their hands full keeping tabs on Eden Hazard tonight. Here comes Kovacic, the Croatian who this time last year was getting ready to play in the World Cup, but of course he got all the way to the final, as well as the Frenchman on show here. Mesut Ozil runs the ball out of play. He's unlucky there. He was trying to dribble it along the chalk of the touchline, but it does go out, and that will be a throw into Chelsea just in front of Maurizio Sarri. 12 minutes played. Chelsea 0, Arsenal 0 in Baku.
Yeah, I mean, Ozil is such an important role today. It'd be great to see him on the ball because he has that, like Hazard, he's not quite the same in terms of taking players on, but the way he passes, the clinical style of his through pass, it'd be great to see some moments from him, and just showed a little flash.
This is the Olympic Stadium in Baku. There is a running track around the pitch, but they've covered it with a sort of a heavy green carpet, and the two enormous Chelsea and Arsenal shirts that were displayed on the pitch as the teams came out, they are now positioned behind the goal. If you're sitting behind the goal, you're quite a far way back from the action. The steepest and highest sides of this ground are along either edge of the pitch, and at both ends there's 3 tiers. There's actually 6 tiers on the far side from us, including 2 tiers of corporate hospitality, as Petr Cech clears straight down the middle of the pitch. Aubameyang jumps, doesn't get a clean touch on it. Lacazette won't get there as Azpilicueta helps it back to Kepa, who's played in all but 2 of Chelsea's Premier League games this past season, and all but 2 of their Europa League games on the way to this final as well. Caballero was put in that shenanigan after the League Cup final, of course. Here is David Luiz, 15 yards outside his own penalty area. No great urgency and press from Arsenal here until it comes to Azpilicueta. Then Kolasinac comes and powers into him, but Chelsea weave through that, and then Koscielny does well to win it back in the midfield. And here come Arsenal. Lacazette receiving it, looking up for Aubameyang. That was good, it was clever, but he couldn't quite receive it, Aubameyang, and it skims through him and out for a Chelsea goal kick. Still 0-0.
The nice contrast of styles there. Chelsea almost worked a moment there to get through Arsenal's press, but when it didn't quite come off, Arsenal quick on the counter, good turn from Lacazette, and Aubameyang almost in.
Unai Emery hoping to become the 4th manager to win either the old UEFA Cup or the current Europa League with 2 different teams. Giovanni Trapattoni did it with Juve and Inter. Jose Mourinho did it with Porto and Manchester United. Rafa's done it with Valencia and Chelsea, of course. And Unai Emery hoping to join that group, as down goes Olivier Giroud here, just outside the Arsenal penalty area, and he's managed to win a free kick, and those jeers and whistles in the background coming from the Arsenal fans who felt that wasn't a foul. It was Laurent Koscielny who clattered into it.
Well, it's a great position for Chelsea. I mean, that's about 3 yards outside the 18-yard box, so a great position for Hazard. I can see him on the ball, and got some big targets in there with Luiz and Giroud, so big test here for Arsenal, and particularly on Petr Cech. These are the moments that you'd like to test him early on.
Petr Cech, such a proud history and reputation in the game, playing in his final match as a professional against his old club. How he would hate to be involved in any sort of an error tonight, as Hazard whips it in, and well, what happened there? There was a push on an Arsenal defender, Torreira, and absolutely no sweat at all to Arsenal. They win themselves a free kick from what should have been a dangerous Chelsea position. It immediately becomes a free kick for Arsenal, a chance to clear away.
Yeah, I mean,
David Luiz again.
Yeah, Luiz just pushes Torreira over there, and that's just ridiculous. He does those kind of moments, and it's so infuriating for Chelsea fans, David Luiz. He dunked out of the header earlier. He has these crazy moments, but of course, he comes with great quality in other areas. He needs to just calm down a little.
Yeah, you have to take the good with the bad of David Luiz, who's tried to play the hard man, I think, in the early stages here, when he clattered into Lacazette, and there when he bundled Torreira out of the way, but it's been wasteful for his team. And now down the other end, Arsenal are in. Kolasinac far side, good recovery by Azpilicueta, and he puts it out for a corner just for a moment. Arsenal look to have picked the lock there, and Kolasinac inside the penalty area. It was really good defending by Azpilicueta to get back.
Yeah, and Pedro kind of switched off there, and Azpilicueta really did well, as he has done for Chelsea many times. Brilliant defending. Corner for Arsenal.
Here it comes from the far side, and cleared to the edge of the penalty area. where Maitland-Niles was lurking. He couldn't get it down, couldn't get into a position to shoot, but it's back out to Kolasinac on the left-hand side. It's Xhaka, in fact, who sends in across and is deflected back away again, and that goes out for an Arsenal throw-in down near the corner flag they attack on the left-hand side. This is 5 Live for the BBC. We're also live tonight in London on BBC Radio London. We are live in Baku. 16 minutes on the big stadium clock, and Chelsea 0, Arsenal 0 the score. Arsenal on the attack as the throw-in is given to Monreal. He sends it straight back to the halfway line with most of his teammates ahead of him. And then what a waste that is as Koscielny puts it out of play. What do you make of that, Alan Partridge?
Yeah, it wasn't his greatest pass, but a good spell for Arsenal. That was probably their best spell of the game so far. It's nice and evenly poised at the moment. The wing-backs have got in a couple of times for Arsenal down the sides, and they've probably been the two best chances. And, an early cross down this right-hand side and this just down that left-hand side as well. So Chelsea just need to be aware their central midfield players of the wing-backs getting in, because the two wide players of Hazard and Pedro are just letting them go.
0-0, this stadium which will be used for games at Euro 2020 next summer. And that's a good header by Aubameyang. Kepa's going to come out, challenges Lacazette. Arsenal want a penalty. Referee is waiting and hesitating, and I think he wants to hear what VAR have got to say about this. Lacazette went charging into the penalty area. Kepa came out, and the referee for the moment is indicating that it's a goal kick. I think he's indicating in the most tame way possible. I think Lacazette gets there first, and then he's fouled by the goalkeeper. The VAR officials are checking to see if it's a penalty. I think they've got a strong case here, but we've just been told the check is over. They say no penalty.
Well, he wins it first. Whether the keeper actually catches him is probably debatable on what I've just seen on that replay, but he definitely got there first, and then he went over. So whether the dive was there no contact and he just dived after, because he wasn't going to get it, because I think it was running out of play. So we'll have to see that again. Well, very close.
It is further evidence that they are warming up Arsenal. They're beginning to get in around the Chelsea defence. Aubameyang's pass there was really good. Lacazette, we know he's got the pace. In the race head-to-head against Kepa running out towards him. He gets the touch first, down he goes, but the VAR officials have decided that there was no foul by the goalkeeper and no resultant penalty. But it's a scare, a big scare for Chelsea.
And wasn't it interesting with the referee? It didn't look like he made a decision at all. It looked like he was, I didn't even think he'd give a goal kick. He was just hovering, waiting for VAR. That is the problem when you have that system.
0-0 in the Europa League final. Lacazette collects possession near the halfway line. Challenged this time by Andreas Christensen. Another foul given away by the Chelsea defence. Free kick to Arsenal on the halfway line. Christensen, who only played in 8 Premier League games this campaign just finished, has been a regular in this competition though in the Europa League, and he falls back into a defensive position now as Chelsea pull everyone apart from Giroud back behind the ball. Arsenal take the free kick short. Koscielny, good ball into Mesut Ozil, right channel of the midfield, midway inside the Chelsea half. Maitland-Niles is with him in support, takes on Emerson, goes around it. Maitland-Niles scuffed the cross a little bit, but put out of Jorginho for a corner to Arsenal on the right hand side.
Good spell from Arsenal, and the use, nice ball out from the back from Koscielny into the midfield, and then the wing back got in again, and that's the second time Maitland-Niles, he just walked past Emerson, and they've got a corner in a good position and a great spell.
0-0, the scoreline remains. Possession slightly in Chelsea's favour overall, but Arsenal looking the more dangerous at the moment. As Granit Xhaka comes across, and he just picked something off the pitch there. I don't know what it was. He picked something as he was placing the ball. Here comes left-footed cross, played in. David Luiz with a header away. That was important, and Eden Hazard continues that clearance on the edge of the penalty area. Good corner by Xhaka, well dealt with by David Luiz. Torreira has the centre circle to himself, sprays out a lovely ball to Mesut Ozil, who's picked up a position on the left wing. Support inside from Kolasinac arriving, but the offside flag is raised, and that must have been for Ozil as the ball was played. He was offside.
Yeah, just exploiting Chelsea a little bit down the sides, but a great header from Luiz from that corner, because that was right where you want it if you're an attacking team, right just inside that 6-yard box, and it was a good defensive header, one of his better moments in this game so far.
Chelsea playing in the Europa League for only the second time. Last time they played in this competition, they won it. That was in 2013. Giroud here wins a header, and he was trying to cushion it down for Hazard, but he put too much on it, and it goes out for an Arsenal throw. Olivier Giroud, who's not really been in the game so far, certainly not in an attacking sense, and Chelsea need to work out how they can get the man who has been the joint top scorer in this competition so far, how they can get him involved so far, and maybe a chance to claim that top spot all to himself. Jovic, the Eintracht Frankfurt player, is the other who's level with him. Here come Arsenal again. Lacazette trying to surge forward. Good goalkeeping, brave goalkeeping. Kepa Arrizabalaga came out. I think he bundled into his teammate Azpilicueta there, and the goalkeeper is hurt. Azpilicueta is down. Arrizabalaga is down. Both Spaniards are going to be in need of some treatment here. And again, Arsenal getting in around the back of that Chelsea defence, Alan Partridge.
It's just the pace of the front two. They're just causing them problems. And he almost got that under control, Lacazette. And if he had, you'd like to think he'd have scored there. Big collision between the goal and Azpilicueta, but he's okay. He'll be all right to continue. So we're off and ready. Pulling his shirt, by the way, on the way through there.
Certainly was.
Yeah.
Azpilicueta was using all the dark arts of defending to try and keep Lacazette from burning him with the pace there as they both charged into the penalty area. Play is going to resume with a free kick to Chelsea just inside their penalty area, taken by Kepa and out towards Emerson, who's immediately challenged by Maitland-Niles. And I think a feature of the game so far is that when the two Chelsea central defenders, Christensen and Luiz, have it, there's no big press from Aubameyang and Lacazette. But as soon as the fullbacks get it, Azpilicueta or Emerson, then the press comes. Kolasinac and Maitland-Niles putting pressure on those two so far. N'Golo Kante, heavy pass, very heavy, too far in front of Azpilicueta, goes out for an Arsenal throw, and what should have been a routine clearance for Chelsea has now given Arsenal an attacking platform.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal are far the better side in this last 10 minutes, and you're quite right. And Maitland-Niles down this side has been terrific just in this spell, and he's causing a problem because Hazard's not tracking him, so he's got the freedom, and all credit to the manager to give him that freedom, to let him go on and run on.
Here comes Monreal, good bursting run down the left-hand side, and then fouled by Pedro. And Chelsea are making a lot of fouls at the moment, and I think it's testament to the pressure that Arsenal are putting on them. Monreal just about to skip away from his compatriot, and Pedro made sure he would go no further. Sort of tactical fouling from Chelsea, they're spreading it around so no one individual looks the guilty party. So free kick to Arsenal. They'll send plenty of bodies forward here. Chelsea have got everyone back in around their penalty area. They're holding a high line as well on the edge of the box. Good distribution here from Xhaka, and they could get into that corridor of uncertainty between the defenders and the goalkeeper. The Swiss international stands and waits for the signal from the Italian referee. There's the whistle. Here it comes. In for Granit Xhaka. Koscielny missed it. Out comes Kepa. I think the last touch there off Sokratis, but it hit him rather than the other way around. No shot at the end of it from Arsenal, and their best chance so far remains that effort from Aubameyang earlier on after Kepa had punched it away into his path.
Yeah, it was just a bit shallow, that free kick. Wanted to be just a little bit more on the back of that Chelsea line. It was very, very high, and they had Arsenal players ready to go. But another chance for Arsenal. You know, they're creating chances. They're making Chelsea play in their own half, and turnovers.
Chelsea working hard in the midfield here. Pedro wins possession. That's really good the way he skipped away from Lucas Torreira. Now this is a test of N'Golo Kante's fitness. He runs, he gets there into Olivier Giroud, tangled up at his feet. He tried to pull it down with the instep of his left boot. It hit his right boot. He still nearly managed to get it under his control, but for the first time in the game, and it has taken 25 minutes for this to happen, a counter-attack from Chelsea and a cross that very nearly found Olivier Giroud.
Yeah, and the centre-backs were pulled around there. Once you do that, when you commit to that press as Arsenal did then, and the centre-half's gone in, then you're only 1v1 in the middle with your centre-back. And Giroud I'm not sure if he was trying to bring Pedro into the game there with a sort of clever back flick. He'd have done better to get it under control. But a good chance for Chelsea.
Possession down the other end with the Chelsea goalkeeper. Kepa, whose clearance up towards the halfway line, returns possession to Arsenal. Chelsea 0, Arsenal 0 here in Azerbaijan. As the ball goes out of play off the knee of Maitland-Niles. And that returns possession back to Chelsea. They take the throw in quickly. Lucas Torreira puts pressure on Kovacic. It's a foul, but play on to the referee. Oh, and again, N'Golo Kante with a wayward pass, whatever he had in his mind. In reality, there was no one over there. He lashed it out to the far wing, and the ball goes straight out of play for an Arsenal throw, and they get on with it. Into Koscielny, 15 yards outside his own penalty area. Short to Maitland-Niles. Now a long ball, which Aubameyang will canter after down the right wing. He picks it up. He's got support as well. Kolasinac to the far post, if he can pick him out. Here it is, played in. Lacazette flicks it up into the air, and Chelsea breathe a sigh of relief as it comes down for Jorginho and a chance to clear away. Well, if Aubameyang had spotted Kolasinac there, he had an acre to himself on the far side. Here comes Lucas Torreira, trying to dribble his way into the penalty area. Too many blue-shirted defenders in the way, and Chelsea are able to get it away, but only as far as Mesut Ozil, just outside the Chelsea penalty area. Gives it out to Kolasinac. Now back into Granit Xhaka. Being urged to shoot. He does shoot, and it's just over the top. And the biggest ooh of the night from the crowd in Baku, as the shot from Granit Xhaka is not that far over the top at all.
Well, the Arsenal causing Chelsea all sorts of problems, particularly the front two. They're running down the sides of the centre-backs. They got in again there. Great cross, and it got cleared, and then it come out. And Xavi has a great hit. I mean, that is literally an inches over the bar. Fantastic hit, which he does possess, and Chelsea just giving too much time there. Fantastic on the replay, even clipped the bar at the end.
4 goals in the Premier League this season for Granit Xhaka. He scored for Switzerland during the international break in March as well against Denmark. We know he can hit them from long range. That's the first attempt he's had tonight, but 28 minutes played, Chelsea 0, Arsenal 0 here in Baku as Maitland-Niles from the halfway line plays it over into space. Kolasinac sprints after it, won't get their ball. Frustratingly for him, bounces away and out for a throw into Chelsea. And Chelsea have absorbed a lot of pressure over the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, Arsenal's system is just dictating at the moment. When you come up against these type of systems, when you play free at the back, you either dictate or you don't, and they're dictating at the moment. And that's great for the manager. For Sarri, he'd be thinking, what's the way out?
Now, Chelsea trying to come on the counter-attack here. Kovacic had pushed the ball ahead of him and tried to chase after it. Arsenal deal with it okay, but Petr Cech's clearance isn't great. Eden Hazard picks up possession here. This room for Emerson in the penalty area. Shoots low, blocked away by Sokratis, and it goes out for a corner to Chelsea. And this final is warming up, and we're beginning to have chances at both ends.
Yeah, they just got dishevelled there, Arsenal. Sometimes they just got too many men going to the ball. They got lost their shape, and there was a chance there for Emerson at the left back position. It worked nice to cut out by the centre back. It's a corner.
1 goal for Chelsea on the pass for Emerson in the League Cup. And a shot blocked out for this corner, which is about to be taken by Eden Hazard. He's got a very busy penalty area awaiting. Giroud is being man-marked at the far side by Sokratis, and those two are squaring up to each other so much so that the Italian referee has to come over and have a word and say he's got his eyes on them. Here comes the corner, played in by Hazard. David Luiz tries to get there the front post. Good defending to get it away. I think it was Monreal who cleared. Arsenal defenders step out, but they don't all step out together, and they're quite fortunate. Mesut Ozil had his wits about him to head it away there. Chelsea try a 1-2 edge of the penalty area. It's played in by Hazard. The return pass though from Kovacic is too firm, and it goes out for a goal kick to Chelsea and to Petr Cech away to our left-hand side. Chelsea 0, Arsenal 0 here in the Europa League final at the start of a very busy week on 5 Live. We have so much coming up. Tomorrow, the start of the Cricket World Cup. England against South Africa at the Oval. Every ball of every match live across the tournament. On Friday, we'll be live in Madrid. We'll be counting down to Saturday's commentary of the Champions League final. Again, an all-English affair, Liverpool against Tottenham. And then in the early hours of Sunday morning, you can hear exclusive commentary from New York of Anthony Joshua against Andy Ruiz for the heavyweight championship of the world. So much live sport and big live sport coming up over the next few days on 5 live. And one way or the other tonight, we're going to get an English team winning the Europa League tonight in Baku. For the moment, nothing to choose between Chelsea and Arsenal on the scoreboard. Emerson comes down the left-hand side. Chelsea have absorbed a lot of pressure, but now they're beginning to apply some. N'Golo Kante, midway inside the Arsenal half, to the right-hand side, to his captain. Azpilicueta, they step off it. The right-back shoots, deflected off the heels of the defender. I think it was Socrates, and Arsenal are able to clear the ball away. And then Chelsea fighting better for it in the midfield, ensure that Arsenal don't fully get it away. It goes out for a throw-in for them on the far side.
I mean, you can't be more balanced this final at the moment. The two systems have got their different strengths, and Arsenal probably just got shading it at the moment, but a chance for Arsenal there.
Here comes Lacazette. Bit of room for him down the right-hand side. Emerson's trying to get close. That's a clever ball. Back to the edge of the penalty area. Mesut Ozil to Torreira. Over into space for Kolasinac. Not the first time today. He's had space in that wing, and his attempted cross-come shot gets deflected out for a corner, and the game has become end-to-end in the last 5 minutes.
It has. It's a really good game. I mean, there's no... apart from Kante, probably, not training, I don't know, for a week or so, definitely having its effects tonight. He looks a bit rusty. He's given a ball away. Other than that, everybody's on the game.
The thing we haven't mentioned so far is that for both European finals this week, here tonight and in Madrid on Saturday, they're doing it like the World Cup, where you can name a 23-man squad. It's not just the 7 subs you would normally get in a Europa League or a Champions League game. So there's an enormous number of players available on both benches. Here's the Arsenal corner, played in by Granit Xhaka. Socrates' header goes wide to the far post. That wasn't the best marking from Chelsea. Socrates was given quite a bit of room, but it goes wide.
Yeah, but he was just did enough, really. Bit of pressure from Christensen. It was just enough to put him off. If he hadn't put that pressure on him, he would have had a chance there. But again, another corner from Arsenal, and progressing down these sides. Must be worrying for Sarri that Arsenal keep getting in down the sides of his team.
Last time these sides met, Chelsea lost. That was 2-0 in the Premier League in January. Chelsea haven't lost back-to-back games against Arsenal since 2011. 0-0 for now. 5 Live and BBC Radio London. And I'm sure many black cab drivers in the capital will be tuning in on one of those networks to us. They may well know this, but if you're a black cab driver in London, you've got work in Azerbaijan if you ever wanted. All the taxis over here are London black cab taxis. With one crucial difference, Adam, we notice that the air conditioning is really good. It needs to be, given the heat here in Baku. Here come Chelsea. Emerson into Jorginho. They definitely played better now, Chelsea. Here's Emerson, gets to the end of the 1-2. Shoots, saved by Petr Cech. First important save that the man tipped to be Chelsea's sporting director makes against Chelsea tonight, as Hazard tries to weave his way into the penalty area and is expertly dealt with by Ainsley Maitland-Niles. What a tackle that was to win the ball from Hazard and to clear it away. But then N'Golo Kante catches Kolasinac in possession. N'Golo Kante's cross is weak and Arsenal managed to get it away, but there's no doubt that this game has shifted up a gear or two with 12 minutes to go to half-time. Jorginho in the middle of the park gives it to Kovacic. The noise here is good at the moment. Emerson 10 yards outside the Arsenal penalty area to Eden Hazard. 3 Arsenal players come to surround him. It's back to Kovacic. Nice flick by Olivier Giroud. He does pick out Hazard, but Hazard can't break away from the attentions of Socrates in front of him in the penalty area. Clever back heel from Hazard. Emerson's cross played in, and despite the attempts of a flick from Olivier Giroud, he couldn't flick his heel back behind him. The player who not so long he scored that wonderful what's it called, scorpion kicks not so long ago. Olivier Giroud, it just wasn't high enough for that kind of a flick, but he was trying to propel it from behind, and all he could do was play it back to Petr Cech. 34 minutes on the clock. Chelsea 0, Arsenal 0.
Yeah, I mean, Hazard just had a few more moments there, and for Chelsea, that's if you can just get him in possession, you can see he's scaring Arsenal to death, but he just hasn't seen enough of it. Arsenal have dictated most of the game, and that's how they want to continue, just keep limiting his possession. When he gets it, he's a threat, but Arsenal probing well.
Nice from Mesut Ozil to go around Eden Hazard, and he wanted to play a 1-2 with Aubameyang, but the return pass was too firm. Emerson does well under pressure from Ozil. Both Ozil and Hazard, the flair players, if you like, they're working hard. I mean, it's got that final atmosphere where nobody's putting in a half shift here. They're making themselves available. They're hungry to be on the ball. As Torreira has possession near the halfway line. Arsenal playing from left to right as we look down in their red shirts, white shorts, red socks. Unai Emery on the edge of the technical area. Smart in the suit. Maurizio Sarri a bit scruffier in the trackie to his right hand side. Enormous technical areas here on what would normally be the running track of this Olympic Stadium. 0-0 the score. 10 minutes to half time. Arsenal in possession. Granit Xhaka 15 yards inside the Chelsea half. Support alongside him from Sokratis, who started more Europa League games this season than any other Arsenal player. This is Lacazette, back to goal on the edge of the penalty area, to Ozil, into Granit Xhaka, again the space for Kolasinac, Azpilicueta's not close enough, here comes the cross, and Kepa's able to punch it away, and it comes back into the penalty area, and Jorginho completes the clearance, and then a showboating backheel volley from Eden Hazard, does nearly pick out Olivier Giroud, mind you, but Koscielny gets there first, and it's cleared away, but just for a moment, Arsenal thought, again, space for Kolasinac. Just to explain it for listeners at home, Alan, Azpilicueta's been really well in the game, but he's leaving gaps for Kolasinac, who's coming on that overlap as wing-back and finding space in the penalty area.
You know, Pedro has to do more for me. I mean, Pedro is, you know, at the moment thinking he's not his job. But I think at half-time he's going to get a severe reminder off his manager, because this is the massive problem that they're getting. Both wide players are not tracking the wing-backs, and so Chelsea are completely overloaded. And that is causing them the most problems today.
If you're just joining our coverage on 5 Live, we have had a penalty appeal for Arsenal. Lacazette went down, VAR looked at it and said no penalty. Tonight the first time video assistant referee has ever been used in the Europa League. We've also had a shot from Aubameyang after Kepa punched it out towards him and he didn't quite catch it cleanly. Down the other end, across to N'Golo Kante, picked out Olivier Giroud, but he got it in a tangle between his legs. And the only other real chance was Emerson's shot, which was saved by Petr Cech. Time ticks on. Half-time looming in Baku. Good play by Chelsea as they work their way over the halfway line. Hazard gives it back to Jorginho. Arsenal now working hard to get back into defensive positions as Azpilicueta comes over the halfway line. Supporters of Chelsea find their voices. Pedro's cross into the penalty area, manages to pick out Hazard, but his first touch was just a little bit off and he couldn't get it under his spell, and Sokratis clears away for Arsenal. Good clearance up to Lacazette, who's fouled. And again this pattern of Chelsea, when they feel they might be outnumbered, they commit fouls in neutral areas. It's no card, but it's a telling off from the referee, and a free kick to Arsenal, still 0-0. Alan Pardew.
But that's what Lacazette brings to the game, you know, his clever hold-up play. He waited for the centre-back to get too tight and then just took the ball in and drew the fouls. Clever centre-forward play there. But, you know, this is a nicely balanced game, and in some respects, even though we're a million miles away from England and London, it's very much a Premier League game. There's a nice tempo to the game.
Here come Chelsea. Jorginho in possession. 15-20 yards inside the Arsenal half. Is there to be a goal before half-time? N'Golo Kante, right-hand side of the midfield. Chelsea in danger of losing it here, but Azpilicueta's able to backpedal and he holds on to the ball, supported by Christensen just inside it. It's just good work here. There, you know, one-touch stuff in around the halfway line. Chelsea creating a little bit of space here. Chance, Giroud, edge of the penalty, shoots, saved by Petr Cech and cleared away by Monreal. That's 2 big saves Cech has made in the game now. Still 0-0.
Well, if you ever wanted an example of one-touch midfield play, that was it. And they cut through Arsenal brilliantly there. Couple of nice just touches, and Giroud has a clear chance right on the edge of the box. Left foot slightly scuffed. Still a very, very good save by Petr Cech. If he needed to prove anything tonight there to his manager, he just did.
Yeah, fantastic. It was good reaction from the man who turned 37 this month, getting down, agile to his left-hand side to push it away from danger as well. But more danger might be coming, because Chelsea have got themselves a corner, and trotting out to take it is Pedro, with a busy penalty area awaiting. Pedro and Hazard standing over the corner now. Arsenal with all 11 players back inside the penalty area to defend. 5 minutes to half-time. Corner is swung in. Stretching was Christensen, couldn't get a touch. Jorginho's got room on the edge of the box. Back in, looking for Olivier Giroud. Does win the header. Down away from goal. Pedro tries to follow on, and his volley is deflected away off an Arsenal defender, Monreal, and that goes out for a corner. Another corner to Chelsea, who remain on the attack for now.
And trying to block there, trying to free Luiz up round the back. A couple of players just interfering with Arsenal players trying to get him free. Luiz is a big threat from set plays, particularly across that near post, and he's gone again into that far post position to run across the near.
Here comes the corner, played in by Eden Hazard. Cech comes and punches. Good goalkeeping, picked up by Pedro on the edge of the penalty area. Left hand side as Chelsea come forward. Clever ball into space for N'Golo Kante, but his first touch isn't great, and then he's got to retreat and gives it to Emerson, who's in the centre circle. Arsenal being forced back at the moment. N'Golo Kante out to David Luiz, who's in a right wing position for some reason, which is a very David Luiz thing to be. Here he is again, right hand side of the midfield, picking up possession. Scraggy hair, just easily drifting in the wind as he plays it infield towards the Arsenal penalty area. Then a foul is given away by Kovacic, and Arsenal get another free kick, and again no card. Lucas Torreira was the player who was down.
I mean, it's hard to imagine why at 41 minutes we haven't had a yellow card yet in a European final, because there's been enough fouls. The referee's been quite tolerant. I think it's from Italy, so unusual for them. They usually get the cards going.
They do.
Yeah.
N'Golo Kante flicks it over the top of Xhaka, tries to run around, but he handles it then as he tries to control. Free kick to Arsenal, bang on the halfway line. Chelsea 0, Arsenal 0. 5 Live and BBC Radio London. This game kicking off at 11 p.m. local time in Baku, so it's coming up to a quarter to midnight now. Christensen wins the ball ahead of Lacazette and sets Chelsea in motion. This is Eden Hazard inside the centre circle. It's got Emerson making a good run outside it, but he might need him here. This is really good from Hazard. He shrugs off a couple of challenges. Now he gives it to Emerson just inside the penalty area. Maitland-Niles is having a good game, comes across and makes the challenge, but offside flag was raised anyway against Emerson, and that will be a free kick to Arsenal, and they'll clear their lines 0-0.
It's strange, really, because, when I think of Chelsea, they usually have a lion's share of possession, dictate the play, and have their moments. Tonight, even though they've had a good share of possession, they might even be edging it. Arsenal have looked better in possession, particularly in that last third where the two wing-backs have got in. Chelsea looked better actually on the counter-attack, which you would expect it to have been the other way round tonight. So that's just a slight difference in terms of what I was expecting.
Arsenal yet to have a shot on target in the match. Chelsea have had a couple now where they've tested Petr Cech, and he has stood up and made the saves. Last time Chelsea played in a Europa League final, the winning goal came very late. Branislav Ivanovic, 93rd minute winner to win the Europa League. It might go all the way to the wire tonight. Extra time penalties if necessary to separate these London rivals, as Socrates does well here up against Kovacic and clears the ball away, but it goes out of play, and that's going to be a throw into Chelsea left hand side as they come forward. Time ticks on, 90 seconds of normal time remaining in this first half. There'll be a little bit added on for stoppages as well. Emerson prepares to take 10 yards inside the Arsenal half, gets it back from Kovacic. Now Kovacic takes it on himself. He's done well if he can keep it in play, and he doesn't. A little bit like Ozil earlier on. He was scampering after it as it trickled along the white touchline, but goes out of play for an Arsenal throw in right full back position for them.
So irritating when you burst through like that and you know it's running out of play, but it's not running out fast enough and you've got to chase it down. That's what happened there. He knew it was going out. I mean, it's been a great first half. I've really enjoyed it. The goal action has been limited, but some good chances, and both managers will have different problems to deal with.
Arsenal will have shared the goals around in the Europa League this season. They've had 12 different scorers in this competition, not including own goals. And so far they've yet to properly test Kepa. At the moment they're struggling to play it out of their own half. Aubameyang with a touch into Lucas Torreira, who tries to return it over the top, but it's cut out by Christensen. Giroud knew he was coming back from an offside position, so he doesn't challenge forward. The ball trickles out of play for a throw into Arsenal on the far side. Reminder, we'll be live in Madrid building up to the Champions League final this weekend. Tomorrow the start of the Cricket World Cup, every ball of every match live across the tournament on 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra. Arsenal's throw-in has been delayed, and the reason for that is because the referee has decided there won't be anything added on for stoppages. So they make their way towards the changing rooms All square 0-0. Both teams having created some chances, but we await a break in the deadlock. Alan Pardew.
Yeah, I mean, a feisty affair, and I have to say, some good quality on the pitch. It's hard to say who's really got the upper hand here, because I think it's so even. Slightly played out differently to what I expected, but Arsenal have done really well. I'd be really pleased if I was the Arsenal manager. If I was the Chelsea manager, I would definitely be concerned about the two wing-backs, and I'll be talking to Hazard maybe to counteract that, and Pedro just a wee bit more than they are.
Hazard has shown a few glimpses. Arsenal, remember, must win this final to get in the Champions League for next season. For now, in Baku, at the break, it's Chelsea 0, Arsenal 0. And still Chelsea 0, Arsenal 0 for now. Just looking over some of the stats at half-time. Aubameyang had the fewest touches of the ball of any player on the pitch, just 9 touches of the ball. One of them was a shot that he skewed wide of the target. No changes in personnel from either team over the break. We'll get back underway with the same 11s that started this match. It's late into the night in Baku. We have passed midnight, and here we go for the second half of this Europa League final. Chelsea now playing from left to right as we look down in their blue shirts and shorts, the white socks. Arsenal in red. And Chelsea trying to get it up to Olivier Giroud, but he can't make it stick on the edge of the area, and Torreira does well to feed it away. Now a bit of room for Aubameyang, running with long strides, making up an awful lot of ground, getting to the edge of the penalty area. His cross deflects off the toes of David Luiz. Not an intentional back pass, and picked up by the goalkeeper, Alan Pardew.
Well, he's had more touches there probably than he did in the first half. He on a run and he had about 7 touches, but he just showed his pace there. And again, they're just down the signs of Chelsea is the worry.
Chelsea go long, controlled down by Olivier Giroud, 5 yards outside the Arsenal penalty area. Support behind from Pedro. And the Arsenal defenders just for a moment stand off Pedro, so he cuts in field on his right boot and gives it to N'Golo Kante. 15-20 yards outside the Arsenal penalty area. Pedro now picks it up on the right wing. And there's a nice delicate touch from Eden Hazard to encourage Azpilicueta forward. Good build-up this from Chelsea. N'Golo Kante back to Azpilicueta, level with the edge of the penalty area, right-hand side as they come forward. Arsenal have hardly had a touch since the game got back underway. Here's a chance for N'Golo Kante to cross. He tries to run along the edge of the byline, but well challenged by Xhaka, and the ball goes out for a goal kick to Arsenal, and their goalkeeper Petr Cech away to our right-hand side. So a reminder of the teams. Kepa in goal for Chelsea, back for Azpilicueta, Christensen, David Luiz and Emerson. In midfield, Jorginho is the anchor, with N'Golo Kante and Kovacic alongside him, and then Pedro and Hazard in support of Olivier Giroud up front. Arsenal come over the halfway line with Kolasinac forward to Mesut Ozil. First touch was a bit heavy, nearly gets through to Lacazette though. David Luiz backpedals, wins a header on the edge of his own penalty area, and then Kovacic down for the left back Emerson, who clears it up towards the halfway line. The Arsenal team, Cech in goal, 3 central defenders, Socrates, Koscielny and Monreal, Maitland-Niles and Kolasinac are the wing backs, then Xhaka, Torreira and Ozil, and on the top 2 Aubameyang and Lacazette. Here come Chelsea on the counter-attack. Good work to get to the edge of the penalty area. Giroud's cross takes a deflection, but it goes out, I think, for a corner, and the referee has got 2 players on the ground to deal with here. But Chelsea beginning to look more and more dangerous on this counter-attack, and they had plenty pace there as they almost created the chance for Giroud.
Yeah, just stayed onside, Drew, and as Aiden carried on his run, he just went straight into one of the centre-backs. It wasn't a deliberate foul, but Monreal certainly wasn't getting out of the way. He made sure he stopped Hazard's going forward there. But there's a corner for Chelsea, and a good start by them. A little bit livelier than perhaps they ended the first half.
Just seeing a replay of that. Monreal certainly knows what he's doing, blocking Hazard there. His eyes are on him. He could see where the collision was coming, and he made sure Hazard would not be able to get on the end of a 1-2. Here's the resultant corner, taken by the Belgian. Terrible corner, short right-footed, and cleared away by the first defender, who was Torreira. And Chelsea will remain on the attack with a throw-in, which Hazard threatens to take, but I think he's going to leave it for Cesar Azpilicueta, who started every Premier League game this past season for Chelsea. Takes his time over this throw-in, just over 10 yards from the corner flag that Chelsea attacked down the right-hand side. Chelsea 0, Arsenal 0 in the wee hours in Baku. A header away by Monreal, working hard for those. Jorginho gets it back for Chelsea. Kovacic into a bit of space for Emerson, 5 yards outside the penalty area. Plays it into Giroud, diving header! season. And once again it happens. A player comes back to haunt his former employers. That was a killer header from Olivier Giroud. Chelsea 1, Arsenal 0. 4 minutes played in the second half.
That was a textbook centre-forward goal, that. The ball that comes in from the wide area is quite low and flat, but he gets across the centre half and gives all his effort to get across him, stoop low and bury that in the corner. Peter Cech, no chance. That is a class goal from a striker who's banging form in terms of Europe in this competition for sure.
That is now 11 goals in 14 appearances in this competition. Olivier Giroud, the World Cup winner, the former Arsenal player, has scored against his old club tonight. And this is going to liven things up. You had just mentioned, Alan Pardew, how Chelsea came out with a renewed vigour at the start of the second half, and they've been rewarded for it.
Yeah, a little stir up from the manager maybe to sort of liven stuff up, quicker play, get to possession quicker, and they certainly did. And Arsenal just caught on their heels in that period. And you know, when you come out at half time as a manager, you're wondering have you got the mood right. Free kick now to Arsenal.
So it's a game in which Arsenal were creating a lot of chances during a purple patch of the first half when they didn't score. And now Chelsea, who've been increasingly warming up and getting into the swing of things, have broken the deadlock. Olivier Giroud after 49 minutes. Free kick to Arsenal. Can they respond instantly? Xhaka takes it wide from the left on a bad delivery. Does a bit of a pinball machine off several players, and then there's a push on N'Golo Kante. And needlessly, Arsenal have conceded a foul and a free kick to Chelsea that will relieve a lot of pressure.
And then Emery will be, going over it. As a manager, you stand on the sideline, you see your team not start well the second half, you start picking your brains of, did you get it right? Did you get the message right? But Chelsea definitely have started their livelier of the two teams and deserved their lead.
Here we are on the shores of the Caspian Sea, and Chelsea 1-0 up in the Europa League final. And at the moment, that parade planned for Islington tomorrow is not going to be happening unless Arsenal can turn this around. Chelsea in possession near the halfway line. Good work by Torreira to win it back for Arsenal. And then Jorginho goes in strong, and N'Golo Kante as well. And chance of a counter-attack here for Chelsea. This is Eden Hazard weaving his way towards the edge of the Arsenal penalty area. Good work by Monreal to win back possession. And now Arsenal will try and turn defence into attack. Mesut Ozil takes it over the halfway line, pushes it in front of Aubameyang. Arsenal have got to go for it now. Here's the cross too high for Lacazette. And in the first half, Kolasinac had always gambled on making that run to the back post. This time he doesn't. The ball was played in that area, but he was 30-40 yards back nearer to the halfway line.
And that was a fast break though. I don't think he really had a chance to get there, to be fair. But the Aubameyang is still the danger man really, with that pace down that right flank, and that's the side that Arsenal are going to have got down a couple of times in this half, but that's probably all they've done. Chelsea now got their noses in front. They're very, very difficult when they're like this.
1-0 to Chelsea. Captain Azpilicueta takes the throw. Their goal scorer Olivier Giroud flicks it on. All the talk about Petr Cech playing against his old club, well, it's another man who scored against his former teammates. Well, it's over the deadlock. Here comes Eden Hazard. Good run. Tries to go around Socrates, who did just enough. Hazard had built up a foot head of steam there, and the Greek defender was able to at least hold him up, but Chelsea remain on the attack. Pedro, 15 yards outside the penalty area. Chelsea enjoying themselves now, playing it around with a bit more confidence. Arsenal scrambling a little bit as Chelsea keep ball on the far side. Kovacic back to the halfway line to David Luiz. It's incredible how goals change games, but this has now become the Chelsea show as N'Golo Kante skips away from Monreal, pushes it forward to Pedro. Arsenal disoriented. Cross comes in just too far in front of Olivier Giroud, who sprints out, tries to keep it in right by the corner flag. It hits the stick, but goes out in the end for a goal kick. And Giroud has, I think, hurt himself there, stretching for the ball, trying to keep it in play, and he's slowly getting back up to his feet.
Yeah, he didn't look comfortable there, did he, when he went down? He's holding his groin area, and he's still holding it. So, a ball that was really gone, to be honest. He did well to just go and try and keep it in. But just watching him recover there, he looks okay.
Chelsea 1, Arsenal 0. 5 live for the BBC and BBC Radio London tonight. As Maitland-Niles tries to get into a crossing position, but he's matched all the way by Emerson. Good challenge. And that ball goes out. Arsenal will remain on the attack. They have a throw-in very close to the corner flag that they're attacking. Arsenal being right to left in this second half. Throw-in from Maitland-Niles towards Lacazette was a good one, but Lacazette doesn't control it. And just at the moment, these 10 minutes or so since half-time, not much is going Arsenal's way.
Just seeing a repeat of the goal. It's a fantastic header. I mean, and that's going back in the annals of Andy Gray's and John Toshak's, that goal. Fantastic.
And the goal-scoring prowess of Olivier Giroud this season, Alan, maybe calls into question how he's been used so sparingly in the Premier League. As Morata at times, it was Higuain being brought in. Giroud's very seldom been the first choice striker in the league, and yet in this competition he keeps scoring. Here comes Arsenal. Lacazette into the penalty area, does a full 360-degree swivel, but can't bring the ball with him. And Chelsea get it away. Pedro is fouled as he clears, fouled by Monreal. Ball goes out for a throw-in. Now what's this? Oh no, hang on. So Pedro has said something to the referee. He thought he was getting a free kick, and when he didn't get it, he's given some lip to the Italian official, who does show the first yellow card of the evening to the former Barcelona man.
You don't disagree with an Italian referee. You're only going one way, that result. But, it was interesting to see Pedro absolutely sprinting as hard as he could to get back with Kolasinac that time. Something he wasn't doing in the first half. So that message has definitely got through.
Pedro, the first man booked. I remember commentating in a Community Shield a few seasons back when Pedro was sent off against Arsenal in that curtain raiser. And at the end of this game, obviously we've got the big one to come on Saturday in the Champions League, and then we start to drift our minds towards next season. Premier League fixtures, by the way, are out on June 13th. Here comes Arsenal, looking for a way back into this Europa League final, in which they currently trail 1-0. Mesut Ozil, good body shape, sends a low cross into the feet of Aubameyang, who can't make it stick. Ozil tries to send it further out this time, but it's intercepted by Pedro. Chelsea play it long, good header by Koscielny. Arsenal will come again. Room for Maitland-Niles on the right-hand side. The two wing-backs playing like wingers now, really, for Arsenal. They have to go for this. Kovacic battles for the ball. And he gets the favour of the referee. The free kick is given in Chelsea's favour. And a chance for them to just kill a bit of time here and settle things down.
Yeah, Arsenal just need to settle down a little bit. Both the two side centre-backs joined in there, left one-on-one. I mean, Giroud's not going to really embarrass you in that situation, but you don't want to see that. You don't start chasing the game at this stage. There's plenty of time left for Arsenal to get back in this.
So Olivier Giroud, 11 goals in the Europa League this season. It means he's the first player to score 11 goals in a European competition for an English club since Alan Shearer. He got 11 in 2004-2005 for Newcastle United. Giroud's goal separates the teams for now. The assist from Emerson, who's had a busy game on the left-hand side of the Chelsea defence. Arsenal have possession after midnight in Azerbaijan. Monreal, 15 yards inside his own half, under pressure from Pedro. He's forced back, and the body language is frustrated now from Arsenal. Outstretched arms from Monreal, wanted better movement, I think, from Aubameyang. Here comes Xhaka over the halfway line. Helps forward to Maitland-Niles. He's got the front two, Aubameyang and Lacazette inside him. Gives it shorter, though, to Granit Xhaka, tries to scoop it out to the near side. Received on the upper thigh by Kolasinac. Monreal gets a touch, helped down by Torreira, midway inside the Chelsea half. Jorginho's busy in there, trying to suffocate the space for Arsenal. Here's a 1-2 between Maitland-Niles and Lucas Torreira. The cross comes in, it sits up for a moment, and then a chance of a bicycle kick for Aubameyang, and a follow-up by Monreal. 3 chances in one there for Arsenal, but none of them on target, and the ball goes wide.
Again, down the sides of Chelsea, getting in. Although Eden Hazard and Pedro doing definitely more work down their sides, they still managed to get in. And Maitland-Niles has been very effective down that side. Good chance, gets a deflection up and wide before Aubameyang can get an overhead kick in. There's a good challenge from Christensen, I think, and stops him getting clean contact.
We have almost played an hour in Baku, and Arsenal are yet to have a shot on target. They trail Chelsea 1-0. The goal from Olivier Giroud on 5 Live and BBC Radio London tonight simulcast as Pedro has possession for Chelsea. More spring in their heels now. Azpilicueta infield to Jorginho. Lovely ball to N'Golo Kante, who's up in a right wing possession. Torreira comes out to try and keep tabs on him. N'Golo Kante, who was the big injury worry in the 24 hours leading to the game for Chelsea. His ball infield towards Hazard was decent, but Maitland-Niles wins it off him. And then play on, says the referee, as Chelsea get it back again. This is a chance. Jorginho just outside the penalty area. It's Kovacic, swivels around. Now Hazard into the box. Now Pedro! It's 2-0 to Chelsea. They doubled their lead. Maitland-Niles was caught in possession inside his own half, and Chelsea have punished Arsenal. Chelsea 2, Arsenal 0. Arsenal in big trouble now.
Big trouble. I mean, Maitland there, Miles, I don't know if he takes a chance. It looked like a foul to me. But he ended up right in the centre of the pitch, which left them short of the back. A little 1-2, a little bit of play. Eden Hazard gets it down that left-hand side. And then he just picks out Pedro absolutely beautifully with just a really little lay ball. And then Pedro on his left foot scoops it across the goal into the far corner. Great goal.
2 goals in 10 minutes. It was 0-0 at half-time. It is now Chelsea 2, Arsenal 0. Giroud and Pedro, the goal scorers. And you have to say, whatever Maurizio Sarri said at half-time, his team have come out in a perfectly determined mood. They have been so professional, so ruthless almost. Absolutely. In this second half, in giving themselves a huge advantage now.
Absolutely, and you know, those comments Peter Cech made about, you know, that hunger and desire to win trophies. You've certainly seen that from Chelsea at the start of this second half. And Arsenal have got to really dig deep. And the shape they're in, not take chances because they'll get exposed here. So it's a real test for Arsenal to make sure that they go about this in the right manner.
Yeah, those comments Alan referring to in an interview in The Standard today with Petr Cech, where he said that when he was in the Chelsea dressing room, even if they drew a match, it felt like the end of the world. There was a real will to win. He said things have been far more relaxed at his time at Arsenal. People were told, don't worry about it if you don't win a match, and there wasn't that pressure applied. He said things are improving a bit under Unai Emery, but that intensity is not quite there as it was in his Chelsea days, and maybe that's what we're seeing in this Europa League final, which is now firmly in Chelsea's favour. If Arsenal are to come back and win this trophy, they're going to have to do it the hard way. Mind you, it's been a season of dramatic comebacks in European football, so I'm not ruling anything out just yet. We've a half an hour still to play in Baku.
Never say never in Europe this year, for sure. But, you know, this is going to be a hell of a mountain to climb for Arsenal. 2-0 down against this team.
Arsenal, I think, preparing a change down there. There's certainly been a discussion between Unai Emery and some of his backroom staff. For the moment, it's the same players that started the game. Granit Xhaka here from the halfway line plays a wonderful ball out onto the chest of Mesut Ozil on the far side. This is where Arsenal need Mesut Ozil to step up now and provide a little bit of magic. They need something special. He runs across the goal from right to left, well outside the penalty area, gives it off to Monreal. Now Granit Xhaka chips forward, chested down by Kolasinac, crossing position on the left-hand side, but swarmed by Chelsea defenders and unable to find the space that would be needed to send in a cross. Xhaka again, 20 yards outside the box, plays a crossfield ball, looking for Maitland-Niles. Excellent tracking back, really good. That was from Eden Hazard to get back there and win possession. And now Chelsea lose it in the midfield again, and Arsenal have no time to waste here. 2-0 down in Azerbaijan. Monreal, that's really clever, scooped it away in front of Jorginho, but he then loses it, Monreal, and fighting for this Kovacic in the midfield. There's an obvious pull in his shirt. Referee says play on. Oh well, they didn't play on Chelsea because they thought the free kick was coming. It was such an obvious pull of the shirt. I don't blame the referee there. Alan, I think he's helped out Chelsea as much as he can there, but Hazard didn't continue the run, and ultimately Chelsea lost possession. But they'll come again.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just Arsenal look just a little bit ragged at the moment. I just think they need sort of 5 minutes to get themselves together. There's Ozil sort of encouraging the midfield. Where's my midfield? You know, and Chelsea really got a good grip on this game at the moment.
Arsenal are preparing to make not one, but 2 changes. One of them is Iwobi. The other Guendouzi, here's a good run. Kovacic gets right to the edge of the penalty area. Challenged by Koscielny, taken up by Pedro. Pedro to Giroud, who goes down. Well, he goes down very dramatically, and the referee points to the spot. And Chelsea, unless VAR get involved, have got themselves a penalty here. It was another slick build-up from Chelsea, who were proving to be head and shoulders better than their opponents in the second half. Giroud, just as the ball came to him, went down like a ton of bricks, and the referee hardly hesitated, pointing to the spot. A penalty to Chelsea, a chance to get a 3-goal lead.
Pedro drives across the box, lays into Giroud's path, and Maitland-Niles really has been quite naive, really. He's come in the back of him and put his shoulder into his back, and unfortunately that's a straight decision. I'm just looking at the manager of Arsenal, he knows.
So this can probably settle it then with 25 minutes to go. Eden Hazard in what could be his final game for Chelsea. A penalty against Petr Cech in Baku, and he sends it straight down the middle and scores. Chelsea 3, Arsenal 0. If the Europa League trophy had handles, they might well be putting the ribbon on them now. 3-0 in Baku. Giroud, Pedro, Hazard, and all the goals have come in the 20 minutes since half-time.
Chelsea have just gone up a gear. That's all you can say, really. And they may have even gone up 2 gears from where they were, because this second half has just been about them. They've just been more clinical, stronger, faster. They've moved the ball quicker, and they're 2 offensive players, Hazard and Kovacic, had a brilliant run there. They've just gone and just drove at Arsenal's midfield. Maitland-Niles, you've got to feel for him, a young boy like that making that error. That's a costly error. And now Arsenal have made the 2 subs. I've not seen who's gone. Did you see, Connor?
Monreal has gone off. Guendouzi has come into the midfield. Iwobi's about to make his introduction. They wanted to make this change before the 3rd goal. This smacks of the horse having bolted and people looking at the fence and wondering, can we close the gate? Monreal was the first that goes off, and now it's going to be Lucas Torreira. So 2 changes for Arsenal, but they need 3 goals, and in the mood that Chelsea are in, it seems highly unlikely that they're going to get them. What Arsenal need to ensure now is that this doesn't become embarrassing, because 16 minutes I make it between those 3 goals from the moment Giroud scored, with Pedro's in the middle and then Hazard's penalty, and just like that, in those 16 minutes, Arsenal's Europa League dream appears to have absolutely crumbled away from their grasp.
One of Arsenal's problems was when they went 1 down, they was chasing the game. They didn't need to do that. Whether that's the naivety of some of their players in the group not been at this level before, I don't know, but Chelsea just picked them off. And the 3-goal lead probably flatters them slightly, but that's what it is.
So Arsenal back to a back 4. Pedro in possession for Chelsea. They're enjoying it now, spraying the ball around. A 3-goal cushion here, and it's all turned so quickly against Unai Emery, a man who was hoping to win this competition for the 4th time, but his Midas touch appears to have come up a little bit short. And N'Golo Kante challenging Guendouzi here. Guendouzi fresh onto the field as a substitute. Arsenal in possession, but they're back on the edge of their own penalty area.
Yeah, they've really got to sort of find a route back in somehow, and that will help. Iwobi just skipping past they always skip past.
Iwobi was caught there by Christensen, who's going to go in the book as well. That was a cheeky trip. Christensen knew he'd been bamboozled by the swing of the hips by Iwobi. He raised his leg as Iwobi went over him and tripped him rather blatantly. Yellow card has been shown.
Yeah, so Azpilicueta got absolutely roasted there, and that's what Arsenal need. They need that individual flair in between some of their good team play. Take someone on, try and create something, try and get back in this game. And there's another set play which I think they've been poor at tonight, Arsenal. That delivery wants to go right in that area between the Chelsea back line and the goalie.
Xhaka to take the free kick, wide on the left, swings it in, left-footed, better delivery this time, but David Luiz gets up and heads it away. It's going to fall here for Aubameyang on the far side. Iwobi! What about that? Just on the pitch, drills in a half volley. Unstoppable for Kepa. Arsenal have got 1 back. They need 2 more. but in this season of crazy comebacks, they've got a quarter of the game remaining to try and worry Chelsea. 3-1, 4 goals all in this second half.
It's a corner, it gets cleared, it comes to the edge of the box, it sits up absolutely beautifully for him, but he's still got a lot to do. He gets a great connection and actually curls it with the outside of his foot into that far post. That's a great goal. What a lift for Arsenal that is. As the game was running away from them, they're right back in it. And as we say, with everything that's happened in Europe this week, that will be in Chelsea's mind for sure. 3-1.
4 goals in 20 minutes. Giroud, Pedro and Hazard for Chelsea. It will be trying to keep things interesting from an Arsenal point of view. And if they could go and grab another one, it will be interesting, that's for sure. 2-goal deficit will feel a lot better to Unai Emery's team than the 3 goals they were facing just a moment ago. By the way, that Eden Hazard penalty means that his tally for the season in all competitions moves to 20 goals. It's the first time he's ever reached 20 goals in a season for Chelsea. They may be about to lose him, but it's been the highest scoring campaign of his career at the club. How are they going to replace those goals next season? Here is N'Golo Kante, halfway line. Chelsea preparing to bring on Willian. They want fresh legs. Giroud is going to run here, but I don't think he'll keep it in play, will he? No, it goes out. It goes out for a corner. Corner to Chelsea, who just want to calm things down now. They've got a 3-1 lead. They want to make sure Arsenal don't make it any closer.
Well, you know, when you're a manager and you're putting on substitutes, you want an impact. You're saying to your subs, come on, you know, give us a lift. And my goodness me, Iwobi's done that. And he's done that great bit of skill and took 2 players on, won the free kick. And then from that result, there's a corner. And then he goes and smashes it in the corner. So brilliant for him. But, you know, that goal just lifts so many players. I'm looking at Maitland-Niles. He looked like he was really suffering after giving that a penalty away. And now he's got a little spring in his step again. So it's such a lift. And the game now is poised a little bit better.
Corner taken short. Willian has just come on. Rolls it to Hazard. And N'Golo Kante with the cross. Header at the far post was by Olivier Giroud, who feels that he was sure it was being held onto, that he was being fouled by Socrates, but the referee says it's okay. And play continues. Willian, by the way, came on in place of Pedro. Pedro, who scores in an all-English final again. Here they come. Chelsea into the penalty area. Hazard gets it back from Giroud and scores. 4-1. What a second half it's been. It's Chelsea's night though once again. 4-1. Second goal of the evening for Hazard. Arsenal's defence all over the place.
Well, they get themselves back in the game. They make another mistake on that right-hand side. Hazard gets the turnover. Little run, puts Giroud in, and Giroud's pass back is absolutely exquisite. Here we're just showing the replay now. Hazard drives at the defence. Giroud just drifts left, and then he dinks it over the centre-half. Hazard, cool as you like, side foot, 4-1.
Well, we've pretty much averaged a goal every 5 minutes since half-time. What about this? Chelsea 4, Arsenal 1. Iwobi has scored the best goal of the night, but as things stand, it's only going to be a scant consolation for an Arsenal team who've not really got their illustrious front three of Aubameyang and Lacazette into the match, and their weak spot, if you like, their defence has looked uncertain, has left gaps, and has allowed Chelsea to score for a 4th time now. I was just about to say the build-up to the goal about Pedro scoring in an all-English final again. He scored in the Champions League final against Manchester United in the past as ball is played back to Socrates, 10 yards outside the Arsenal penalty. And what do they do now, Alan? Just when they felt, okay, maybe, just maybe we've a chance at 3-1. 4-1, it must be so demoralising.
And on a turnover as well, they was in possession. I mean, how ironic that Aiden's now on a hat-trick. You know, it was only 10 minutes ago that he hadn't scored, so it just goes to show you how quick this game can change. But Chelsea, you know, to say they've got the hands on the trophy really and surely now, and Arsenal, very, very difficult to find a route back when you score and give you that lift, and then to concede straight away is a terrible blow for them.
5 live from the BBC and BBC Radio London tonight, live in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan. Now we've had 5 goals tonight in this Europa League final, 4 of them for Chelsea, who are on the verge of winning the Europa League. for the second time as Mandouzi makes a very deliberate and obvious foul on the halfway line on Jorginho, and that is a free kick to Chelsea, who are just completely in control now once again.
I mean, I find it strange that we haven't had more yellow cards. You know, I'm looking at this game. That's such an obvious yellow card that you would get in the Premier League. And yet again, it's I don't know if we just had the one booking, two, I think.
Two bookings, yeah. Pedro and Christensen, both Chelsea players, but it's Chelsea on the verge of winning this Europa League final. Jorginho back to Christensen and all the way back to the goalkeeper once again. So, first season in England for Maurizio Sarri. He appears to be about to win a trophy for the first time in his managerial career. He led Chelsea to third place in the Premier League. When you consider the high standard achieved by the top two, there's no great shame. That's a lovely touch by Az on the far side. Now into Olivier Giroud. Now the low shot, saved away by Petr Cech. And Chelsea are going for it now. They want to humiliate Arsenal. They want 5, and most notably Eden Hazard wants a hat-trick.
It's absolutely brilliant. He towels up. But Arsenal got a chance
now. Here comes Aubameyang into the penalty area down the other end, takes it wide around David Luiz and blazes it high up and over the crossbar. Sorry, Alan.
Aubameyang has been poor this second half, and those moments of quality, but Aiden nearly got his hat-trick there. Great save from Petr Cech. They needed Petr Cech tonight. I mean, he's made 3 or 4 fine saves and still finds himself 4-1 down. He can't hardly believe it, I should imagine. But Chelsea have been terrific second half. I mean, they've just been a level above.
Yeah, I think if you weren't in tune with this game, if you just saw the scoreline afterwards, you think, oh dear, poor old Petr Cech, what a way to bow out. And it is sad for him personally. It's not in any way been his fault. None of the goals you could point towards the goalkeeper playing against his whole team for making the mistake. Another change happening here. Ross Barkley is being introduced, and he will come on in place of Kovacic. Almost a joke amongst Chelsea fans, so those two always seem to replace each other. But the 12th appearance of this Europa League campaign for Ross Barkley. Scored home and away against Malmo, and he comes on fresh legs into the midfield for the last 15 minutes. It feels like the outcome of this final, though, is already decided. Chelsea 4, Arsenal 1. Jorginho on the halfway line, no opponent within 10 yards of him in any direction. Back out to the left-hand side to Emerson. Now N'Golo Kante, who would look and appear is about to see out the full 90 minutes after all that talk about injury concerns. He's passed the ball forward. Willian was fouled, and N'Golo Kante sprints after it himself. But I tell you, he nearly gets there. I've always had this theory, when he's fully fit, there's actually 2 N'Golo Kantes. He makes his presence felt so much on the pitch. But on this occasion, it's out for a goal kick and possession back.
Well, I can confirm that as an opposing manager. There's definitely 2 of him, for sure. But he's been terrific second half, and, it's so ironic, isn't it? We was all talking before the game about Sarri throwing his cap and, bad feeling in Chelsea and is Kante fit, etc., etc. And, well, the scoreline 4-1. Just goes to show you media boys, you can't read anything into that. Sometimes, some of it's cloak and dagger, sometimes it's put on for show, and for sure, I don't think Kante was anywhere in doubt from what I've seen of him tonight.
Right, another change for Arsenal. A very despondent looking Mesut Ozil makes way, and his teenager Joe Willock comes on. He's played a couple of times in the Premier League in recent months, scored in the Europa League back in November. He is on some fresh legs down the left-hand side, it would appear. He's the left-hand side of attack. Aubameyang on the right and Lacazette through the middle, but Arsenal in need of a Baku miracle here with 12 minutes or so remaining in the game. Chelsea 4, Arsenal 1. Alex Iwobi, who came on as a sub at 3-0 down. He'd only been on the pitch for 2 minutes, scored a brilliant goal, and we thought, here we go, maybe, just maybe, game on. But down the other end, Chelsea came, and that goal from Hazard restores their 3-goal lead and the feeling of dominance that they've got in this game. Hazard, who scores 2 goals in the final of the European competition. He's the first player for an English club to score twice in the UEFA competition final since Mark Hughes. Here comes Joe Willock into the penalty area, tries to shoot, good defending by David Luiz, makes the block in the penalty area and gets it away. Mark Hughes, Manchester United against Barcelona, 1991 Cup Winners' Cup. Here come Chelsea down the other end. Willian to the edge of the penalty area, goes around Koscielny, shoots and saved by Petacek. Well, he's by far made the most saves of the 2 goalkeepers. He pushes that out for a Chelsea corner.
I think Peter Cech will be looking at his back 4 here saying, guys, come on, give me a bit of cover here. He's had to make another great save there. He must have made for it. They're switched off again here, Arsenal. Chelsea are in.
And the corner is taken shortly. Willian slips in the penalty area, and that goes out for a goal kick to Arsenal. The clock ticks on, just over 10 minutes of the regulation time to go. It feels highly unlikely we're going to have extra time and penalties now. Chelsea, who have got the job done in the second half after withstanding a lot of pressure during the first period. But for all that pressure, Arsenal didn't produce a shot on target. I think that will be the regret, the biggest regret for their supporters who've travelled here this enormous journey, 5,000 miles return journey to Baku, and their team toothless in front of goal and not able to trouble Chelsea at all in that regard. Here's Ross Barkley. Really nice touch from Hazard to find in. Hazard is hungry for that hat-trick. Willian comes through the middle. Barkley again. Back to Willian. Fresh legs. Socrates comes running across. The shot is deflected and it goes out for a corner to Chelsea, who are threatening to run away with this if they haven't indeed already.
Well, Barkley had 2 choices there. He had Willian down the right, he had Eden Hazard on a hat-trick down the left-hand side, and he went to Willian, and Eden's looked at him as if to say, come on. Arsenal, the preview of this game was Arsenal's defence. Would it hold out? Would it be able to cope with Hazard? And unfortunately it hasn't.
So it would appear no Champions League football for Arsenal next season. Willian takes the corner short to Eden Hazard. Behind him is Azpilicueta. And now Hazard wriggles his way into the penalty area, gives it back to Azpilicueta. The angle is tight, but the shot was only a whisker away. That was so close to a 5th goal for Chelsea in this final.
Azpilicueta, he would have loved that. I mean, he's been Chelsea's outstanding defender for 10 years or whatever it is. He's been brilliant, and that would have really capped it off. But Chelsea are absolutely dominant at the moment.
Azpilicueta, who got his first goal of the season not so long ago, actually against Brighton. Here comes Iwobi for Arsenal. Surely it's done and dusted though. Guendouzi in the midfield. When he looks back at his tactics tonight, Unai Emery, Alan, do you think he'll regret the 3 central defenders? Was that too negative, or did he need that firm base given their defensive record?
Well, I thought the system worked well in the first half, to be honest. I think it probably just had the upper hand. But when it came out second half, Sarri was a bit braver. The 2 wide players started doing their jobs, were a bit more aggressive in the defensive work, and they got turnovers, and from them turnovers they've come the goals. But after the first goal, definitely Arsenal went down a level and Chelsea went up a level, and that's how it stayed more or less the whole of the second half.
Arsenal attack down the right. Aubameyang lashes one in and it goes for an Arsenal corner. An image on our screen of little Gianfranco Zola, who'll be savouring this. His long association with Chelsea over the years, about to lift more silverware, it would appear. Just over 8 minutes to play. Iwobi, who's already scored once. This time he dinks it in. That's a clever ball and a chance to control. And Lacazette can't score. And Aubameyang tries and he can't score either. And with the goalkeeper flailing all over the place, do you know what? It wouldn't have counted anyway. Flag was raised on the far side. Chelsea's defenders celebrate as if they've scored a goal themselves. They go down there, little pats at the bottom and high fives and the whole works. And it's just not been Arsenal's night.
Well, Chelsea come out there and 4 Arsenal players looked offside, but ironically the player it fell to was onside. A brilliant save by Kappa, and then on the rebound, even though he was offside, Christensen got a great block in. Chelsea's defensive duties have been much better in this game than the Arsenal back 4-5.
Again, strong waft of the smell of oil which you get here in Azerbaijan, this petrodollar state, and very much The smell of the local industry and where all the money is coming from in the air as Chelsea come forward, but an interception by Koscielny and a chance to clear away. Aubameyang is deep inside his own half at the moment. Now Granit Xhaka still midway inside the Arsenal half. And Chelsea just enjoying it now, jogging across, trying to keep tabs on Alex Iwobi, who comes over the halfway line, picks out Willock, good play to give it to Lacazette, back to Willock! Oh, so close! He puts his shot wide, but that would have been a beauty for the teenager. How unlucky, after Iwobi and Lacazette aided him perfectly in the build-up.
Well, it would have made the last 8 minutes interesting as well. It was a brilliant bit of play, and now he's just trying to put too much on that. He hasn't got his foot quite round it, and he's just gone outside the far post, but his play before them was absolutely brilliant. Both the subs have done terrific since they come on, and a team that in the other sort of 9 areas have got their head down a little bit.
Much is going to be made tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be pictures showing some empty seats at either end of this stadium. One thing to point out, if you look at the top of the very bottom tier here, I think a lot of supporters have left seats at either end, and because the concourse allows you to walk around and stand at the back, and you get a halfway line view, because behind the goal with the running track, you're very far away. So although, by absolutely this isn't a completely sellout tonight, I think there's more people here than the empty seats reveal, because there's thousands of them standing at the back of those tiers all the way along the side. Obviously we can't see the stand we're in, but I'd imagine it's a similar aspect there. Arsenal not enjoying their night here, 4-1 down against Chelsea. This all-London Europa League final, very one-sided after a second half performance from Chelsea that has just blown Arsenal away. Here is Iwobi, left-hand side. Chelsea pulling lots of defenders back deep. Hesitation by Xhaka, waiting for the challenge to come, which does from Olivier Giroud. And the referee gives Arsenal a free kick at what, for a moment I thought might have been a shooting position, but actually the referee's taken a step or two further back from there to put his referee spray out. And then those extra couple of yards have made this a very long-range prospect if Arsenal decided they wanted to go for goal. But Lacazette might just be considering that. Desperate times lead to desperate measures.
Yeah, but it probably is in his range just. That's about 28 yards, 30 yards of that, so it'd be a hell of an effort. I wouldn't be too worried if I was the Chelsea manager in this situation, but a goal now with the sort of history we've had in Europe this season.
Lacazette is the only Arsenal player standing over this. There's no decoy runners. There's a wall built in front of him. Lacazette hits it, but hits it high and wide. He gave it a good lash, but it's off target. 4 minutes to play. Chelsea 4, Arsenal 1.
And is that still there? That they haven't had a shot on target, Arsenal? Because that wouldn't be something you want to walk away from a final with as a stat against you. It hasn't cost them the game, by the way. The back defenders have, but Chelsea for sure here. Seeing the timeout now, 86 minutes.
And in those 86 minutes, Arsenal have only had 2 attempts on target. Clearance by Kepa, up over the halfway line, straight to Sokratis, who wins the header for Arsenal. Maitland-Niles, still with energy in his legs, comes over the halfway line right-hand side. Ross Barkley puts pressure on Aubameyang. Arsenal hold on to possession. Guendouzi into Granit Xhaka, out to Iwobi on the left-hand side. That's really well done for Kolasinac, who tries to cross and blocked away by Christensen. You mentioned on the project that the substitutes have done well. They really have done for Arsenal, actually.
Yep.
Iwobi's been a live wire since coming on. Guendouzi's been full of running. Here is Aubameyang trying to flick it back to Guendouzi into the penalty area. Wants to try and control it. Harder said than done. Chelsea regain possession and they'll clear it away with Hazard in that left full-back position, helped out by Emerson. Guendouzi battles hard and wins it back again. He's fighting on for sure. Into the penalty area they come, Arsenal, but good work back there from Jorginho. And Chelsea will come away with the ball, and in the end, with the Chelsea player down, N'Golo Kante plays out of the field so his teammate can receive some treatment. 2.5 minutes to go. No doubt about it now. Chelsea are about to win the Europa League.
Yeah, and thoroughly deserved, really, on the second half. We got a substitution now. I'm not sure who that's going to be. It's a Chelsea substitution.
Hazard's going off, and Zappacosta is going to come on to stretch his legs right at the very end. So there won't be a Europa League final hat-trick for Eden Hazard. Is this to be his last appearance for the club. Chelsea fans will certainly, once they realise it's him going off, they're going to give him a standing ovation, I'm sure. Tonight, Eden Hazard's 60th game of the season for club and country. He brings his goal tally to 21 goals for Chelsea, the most he's ever scored in a single season at the club. Well, if it is a way to bow out, it's not a bad one, Alan Pardew. He could feel he's been a very good servant for the club over the years.
Absolutely, he's been brilliant for Chelsea, but in the second half today he was almost unplayable out there on that left-hand side. He's created and scored, and his job is done, and he'll be looking forward to getting hold of that trophy, and thoroughly deserved too.
Is that a difference between the two teams, that Chelsea have a standout performer, whereas Arsenal, there's no one individual who you would say, yeah, he's been their best player tonight?
Well, you've got a World Cup winner in Ozil out there who didn't produce tonight, nowhere near the level of Eden. So, they have got those players, and they have got those players, but defensively today, own half breakdowns, a bit of naivety here and there, and the goals have hurt them too, and that's why we stand at this scoreline.
Right, all over bar the shouting. We're into the final minute of normal time. A banner has been unfurled up midway through the enormous stand on the far side. It's a message from Azerbaijan. It says, we are all part of football, thanks to UEFA for the final. They know that there's been doom and gloom about the decision to have the final here, particularly when two English clubs are drawn. They knew it's such a long, arduous, expensive journey. They know there's been criticism of that, and I think that banner is sort of saying, well, look, we are all part of football. It's not just the elite nations. We're so thrilled to have hosted this final, and they've got to see 5 goals as well, as Willock attacks down the left-hand side. He's done well, but he can't get the shot through on target and wins a corner. Chelsea defending resolutely to the enemy. The only goal Arsenal have got was a worldie from distance. Arsenal haven't looked like scoring from close range in the game. Willian miscontrols here, but N'Golo Kante is in to clear it away, and he does see out the 90 minutes, N'Golo Kante, as we move into stoppage time, of which there are 3 being added on. The man who was the big injury doubt, N'Golo Kante, is about to win another medal. World Cup winners medal a year ago.
And if I was a betting man, I bet he covers more distance than anybody else tonight. You almost can guarantee it.
Which would say everything, wouldn't it? Won the league with Leicester, won the league with Chelsea. He's won the World Cup with France, and now about to add the Europa League. N'Golo Kante is Alex Iwobi battles on down the left-hand side for Arsenal, plays a 1-2, thinks about a shot on the edge of the penalty area. So a lovely cross in for Aubameyang, and he can't score. He muffles his shot. What a chance. And that, if nothing else, that sums up Arsenal's miserable night. That was laid on a plate for Aubameyang, and he just couldn't apply the finish.
Yeah, that was great play by Iwobi again. He gets it in the left-hand channel, thinks it with his right foot, sets it up beautifully. And unfortunately for Aubameyang, he's had one of those nights tonight. He hasn't really struck the ball well, and his final pass has been poor.
And the repercussions of this are going to reverberate for Arsenal. It's not just the disappointment of losing a one-off final. It's not just the wait for a European trophy to continue, the wait for a first trophy of the post-Wenger era. It's going to be no Champions League football, and that's going to be difficult at attracting the players that they clearly do need if they're to get into the top 4 next season.
I think if you was an Arsenal fan, you know that the manager's good enough. There's no doubt about that. And he's you look at this team and they just don't look good enough really individually for the quality that Arsenal need, and they have players in certain areas, but in certain areas they look weak. But there is a good future here with this manager and a lot of young players at Arsenal that are coming through. But that extra money, the Champions League, as you say, would have just propelled them up much quicker.
Here come Arsenal. Joe Willock into the penalty area, shoots from the edge of the penalty area, and it goes wide. But just been pointed out to one of the comments on the BBC text commentary. Tommy texted in to say Willock's done more in 10 minutes than Ozil did all game, and I think he's right. That's not actually an exaggeration. That is true. Chelsea on the verge. Isn't it incredible? 24 hours ago, I was sat alongside you, Alan. We were talking about the shambolic scenes at Chelsea's training session here last night. Sarri leaving the pitch, throwing his cap, kicking things. It looked like players were fighting amongst each other. A day is a long time in football, and they're about to celebrate together. And Sarri, what a moment for him, about to lift his first ever piece of silverware as a coach.
It must he must be so proud, because it's so difficult to win trophies, and this is a way to win it.
There will be crosses from the left for Arsenal. Lacazette shoots, blocked away by David Luiz. He doesn't want Arsenal to score another one. Lacazette goes down. That's not going to be a penalty. Zappacosta runs clear, and there it is. The final whistle in Baku goes at 10-1 in the morning local time. It confirms a 4-1 victory for Chelsea, for Maurizio Sarri. Third place finish of the Premier League, higher than Antonio Conte did last year in terms of points, and he's got himself some silverware. And Arsenal's trophy parade in Islington tomorrow has just been abruptly cancelled. Giroud and Pedro and 2 from Eden Hazard in what might be his final appearance for the club. And you've got to say, in that second half, Chelsea were really, really good.
Yeah, they as a team, they were just faster and quicker and passing the small crisp. And of course, with the outstanding individual on the pitch, Eden Hazard, he was terrific second half. He was quite quiet actually in moments in the first, but he really come alive in the second half, and all those moments, all those goals he was part of. A great performance from Chelsea. I thought Arsenal were good first half, and unfortunately for them, the game got away from them, and their reaction to the goals would probably be a bigger concern than anything. The goals went in quite easily at that period, and the game was gone. But they still have a lot of great young players and a great manager, and they'll come next year and hopefully be pushing for that Champions League place again.
Joy for Olivier Giroud, scoring against his old team. The 2 goals from Hazard will get headlines as well. Final score in Baku. Chelsea win the Europa League. They beat Arsenal 4-1.